there's still such a huge stigma attached to having a child with autism and having that label.
Keep it quirky.
Hello, I've wanted to talk about autism and how it affects our family for quite some time, and I have this vision for this channel which involves creating this community of lovely parents all going through the same kind of thing that I'm going through and us all supporting each other, perhaps feeling less like I'm on my own going through this. But what I've found making this channel is actually it's really, really hard to talk about autism and to talk about being a parent of an autistic child. I think that's probably because there's still a lot of stigma attached to being a parent of an autistic child. People, or certainly I feel that other people will be looking at me and saying, well, she just wants to label her child, or she is just selling out talking about autism on YouTube, or it's the same problems that I get in everyday life, only magnified because I'm talking to potentially the whole world, and lots of different people, lots of different opinions, all on how I parent. I feel like this is going to be a harder journey than just talking about parenting in general and talking and being a parenting channel, because I'm drilling down further than that. I'm not just talking about parenting. I will be doing just some general parenting bits and pieces, but I really do want to share this autism journey with everybody. But I'm really, really struggling. It's the same as when I meet a new person in real life, perhaps at the playground, something like that, another parent, and you don't know them well enough just yet to be able to say, oh yes, my child is autistic. So you're just getting to know that person, and you're judging face to face, which is easier than YouTube because I'm not seeing anybody face to face. I'm not going to be here looking at the person to tell whether they feel that I'm just labeling my child. Sometimes when you're face to face with people, you're having a chat with them and you can see that they feel your child's just naughty and needs proper discipline and is actually all my fault. Their behaviour is all my fault. And that's really hard because I think certainly myself, and I know other parents that do feel that it is in part their fault. As much as you tell yourself it's not, they are autistic, and there's very little, if anything, on occasions that I can do about certain behaviours at certain times. It generally comes from my son's inability to cope with certain situations. I still feel responsible. I'm starting to feel a little bit nervous about the whole thing because there's still such a huge stigma attached to having a child with autism and having that label. And I know when I knew my son had autism from when he was about 18 months old, and it took a long time to get that diagnosis. And although when you do finally get that diagnosis, you kind of feel somewhat relieved, and you feel like it's not my fault. There is something different about this child, and it has a name, and I'm not going mad, and it's not just my parenting. There is a proper diagnosis, an actual thing that's different about this child that can explain their behaviour. But in reality, although you feel very relieved when you have that diagnosis, when you then go on from that, you then begin to feel stigma, or I certainly have, especially with certain people, stigma about having a child with that diagnosis. I find that some people label me as somebody who just wants to label their child, and that's quite difficult on YouTube, because I'm sure I'm going to get that a lot through people that don't know me and don't know our situation. But I'm going to be talking about it in snapshots and explaining little bits of it, but people won't see our day-to-day life and how difficult it can actually be. And I've got this vision of being in a playground talking to a parent that I've never met before, and I'm talking to that parent, and then I just say all of this stuff about autism, and that's and I don't know them. That's kind of what I'm doing through YouTube. So it's really, really difficult because I'm opening myself up to critique. So I think my point in making this video is to sort of ask other parents to please be thoughtful when you comment and realise that this is actually a really difficult thing for me to do. I do want to build a community of other parents with their own struggles, but I don't want to invite all this criticism. I think as parents we also tend to criticise ourselves a lot anyway, and if I've got lots of people on YouTube doing that to me because I'm trying to help people and trying to share my experience, that's going to be really hard. And at the moment that seems to be a block for me. I'm almost frightened to start talking about it because I can see all the criticism coming my way, and I think I just want to gather some support from parents that actually understand. I think a lot of people who have a child that has difficulties have had those moments where they've met people and you feel like you can't talk about it because of the stigma, because you feel like you're the parent of that child, especially when it comes to being in the playground with other parents whose children don't have difficulties. Every child has difficulties, obviously, but doesn't have the same type of difficulties, and people just do not understand that it's not bad parenting. You are doing above and beyond what other parents would have to do with their children. There's lots and lots of things that are so difficult about having a child with autism that I could talk about for hours, and I would love to share with people, but I'm also quite scared about it because this is a big thing to invite people into in our lives, and I think it's really very open to criticism. So please be gentle. If you are interested in subscribing and seeing more videos, please subscribe. Please like this for a little bit of support, that would be amazing, and I hope to see you soon. And talking about my son's behaviour, my son has actually just come home. Hi William! I'm just filming at the moment, so please be quiet. Just filming at the moment, you can come and watch, but please be quiet. Okay? Shh, good boy. Shh. Okay.